can you define packaging ROI, Rob?
Wow. I looked at this question when we had our brief meeting previously to the session today, and I thought, whoa, that's a weighted question. So I can. It used to stand for return on investment. I think it is all that, which is a lot, but I think it's more. I think we are asking consumers, you have to put your consumer hat on when you're talking about return on investment. So as a corporation, of course, you have your shareholders that you have to answer to. You have a business to uphold and be profitable with. But in the end, at the end of the day, it is the consumer that needs the return on your investment and on their investment. And I think it's through brands that we can actually touch that consumer in an emotional way and make sure that they come back to the shelf and purchase our products. So it means return on investment. It means investment. You're asking the consumer to invest something, his time, her time, their money to purchase your product. But in order to maintain that interaction, I think you have to be innovative. So I think return on ROI, there's a lot of I words. I think you need to be innovative. You need to have a great imagination. Kevin touched on it earlier. I've heard someone say at other seminars, innovate or die. If you don't innovate, consumers won't know you're there. You will just be a blur, and you'll miss that transaction. So you need the imagination. You need to be integrated in all your communication pieces. There's a lot to it. As far as a design project, if you make a change, you need to make sure that you're making a change for the right reasons, that it does elevate your brand, it creates some new news. Back to the earlier question about distribution channels, the customers that we work with, like the Sobeys and the Loblaws and Metro, they get excited about new news. If you can come to them with new news, and they can then communicate that to their consumers, which are our consumers, all our consumers, which is us. They get excited, and they can make sure that you have the appropriate amount of space in their retail arena. So the return on investment is an ongoing thing, but if you can make sure that design is for all the right reasons, and that you understand the equity that we talked about earlier, and with a healthy nod to, we understand that equity, but we do need to move this forward. We need to be innovative. We need to be imaginative. We need to create new news. Then that return will happen. But you also have to have a product that people love and they'll come back to. And that's part of the innovation and the integration and the imagination that I talked a little bit about. It's the integrity as well. So you need that integrity in your product. If the integrity is there and you've covered all those other I's, ROIs, then the investment will be worthwhile.
You put the definition for ROI in a very different context. It is great. I've never actually heard it put that way, but it's so appropriate. It's so true today with competitive set, the speed to market and getting that return on investment has to happen a lot shorter than it used to be, where we'd be willing to wait 2 or 3 years to get that return. Now, if that product is not successful in the marketplace in 8 months, you're not getting your ROI. Kevin, any thoughts? Anything to add to the ROI?
GP, I have a call it a 3-step, I guess you could say, process that I would equate or I would evaluate ROI for packaging. First one is before I go to market, and it's basically 2 letters, PI and PD. So it's purchase intent and point of difference. So to me, whatever news you're bringing that is either going to provide the consumer with another positive experience, or it's going to overcome a barrier or an issue that they may have with your packaging or the experience with your brand, I weight heavily, particularly in quantitative research, purchase intent. If it is significantly above a norm and indicates that the consumer is going to vote for your brand before you actually spend all the energy to commercialize it and take it all the way to the shelf and ultimately to their pantry, to me that gives me really good indication that I'm going to have some success and I can mobilize a lot of resources behind it. Point of difference to me is something I absolutely crave in every packaging initiative that I do. So getting a strong point of difference or the uniqueness score that I typically see, again, I heavily weight that. Those two metrics allow me to feel confident going forward. Once it hits market, I have a real simple measure to measure the success and ROI in packaging design. It's did it grow my share? And I think obviously you need to tease out a lot of different things, but ultimately, if you're doing something that is significantly going to affect and touch the consumer day in, day out, it better grow your share in your category. And I would say the last element that I could wrap it all up in, and this is, I guess, maybe goes back to either my finance friends or my finance roots, it's in an ideal state, it improves your profitability. So in the days, obviously, that we live in right now, you know, I love the idea of the concept of sustainability in packaging design. If there's an opportunity where you can drive cost out of your system that's good for the environment and that the consumer won't miss or will actual fact, thank you for it, I think it's a fantastic way to challenge yourself with packaging design. So look at what we did recently with the Vivitas Woman design, where we moved to a far superior packaging in our tapered bottle, and we threw out the corrugate. We saved enough corrugate that would probably stack 3 times the height I think we calculated as a CN Tower in a year on that brand. And that's good. That drives cost effectiveness in our system. It reduces handling costs down the line, and it's good for the environment, and it's good for the cost savings that ultimately hopefully I can pump into either more packaging innovation down the road or ways in which to drive an offtake to the consumer. So PI and PD and grow my share and save me a little bit of money. That's how I wrap it all up.